Okay, next speaker will be recorded. It's about 11 minutes long. I know we're about an hour in. You guys are doing great. Dr. Nicole LaVoi, actually had a chance to talk to Jenny here about Dr. Nicole. She's unbelievable. I had a chance to learn with her at the University of Minnesota. One of the things I was hoping today to have Sarah Bronk here and Emily Byer have some more women representation. So one reason I felt okay with it is because Dr. Nicole LaVoi is so amazing, and the work that she does is awesome. So I just asked her some questions centered around a lot. This is geared towards parents, some of it, and also the impact of sports for women and girls and the importance of it. So we'll take a listen to her. Thank you.
Okay. Yep, I got the notice, so we're good.
The interviewer.
All right. Really thank you for being here. If you could just take a minute to introduce yourself and then tell us some of the work that you've done here in the past and most recently, that'd be great.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Dr. Nicole LaVoi. I teach in the School of Kinesiology at the University of Minnesota, where I teach social behavioral science, mostly psychology of coaching, theories and principles of coaching, and also teach sports sociology. I'm also the director of the Cotter Center for Research on Girls and Women in Sport, which is the first research center of its kind in the world to take seriously the academic study of girls and women in sport. And in 2023, we will be celebrating our 30th anniversary of being in existence, of accelerating systems change for girls and women in sports.
One of my favorite things that you said when I had you for a professor in grad school was that sports could build character or characters depending on how it's taught. Could you just speak to that and what you mean by that?
Sure. Well, it's a widely held belief, which is true, that sport builds character, life skills, leadership, communication, conflict management, all the good things that we love that kids can accrue from being in sport. However, when the adults get it wrong, when they're solely focused on winning or winning at all costs or putting pressure on young people, we know that it leads to bad sport behavior and cheating and aggression and all the things we don't want from sport. So it can build characters if we as adults, the parents, the coaches, the sport administrators don't create the right environment for young people to thrive.
Great. And speaking of those benefits, I think a lot of players who go into sport, they understand some of the benefits that can come out of sport, and parents understand it as well. But could you just speak more specifically to girls and the benefits you see for young women participating in sport?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So for those who want to take a super deep dive, on the Tucker Center website, tuckercenter.org, we have a lot of really great free resources about girls and women in sport. And one of those resources is a report we release every 10 years. The last one was in 2018, called Developing Physically Active Girls, a multidisciplinary approach. And in that report, we outline in detail all the benefits that girls can accrue from being in sport, from psychological development, social development, academic development, less truancy, lower rates of teen pregnancy, higher academic achievement, and we know it has career benefits. So girls and women that play sports are more likely to end up in C-suite positions in corporate America, and also are more likely to end up in high-paying male-dominated positions. So we know from the research there are a whole host of benefits that are very important for girls and boys. But because girls and women in our society face more discrimination, harassment, barriers than boys, it's really important that girls get the opportunity to play sport.
If I'm correct, I believe girls are dropping out of sports sooner than boys are. We're seeing, certainly that age is getting lower and lower, unfortunately. But what are some of the reasons? First off, is that accurate? But then what are some of the reasons that girls are dropping out so soon, and how can we support them to stay in sports longer?
Yeah, so we do know from the data that girls enter sport later and drop out sooner than boys do. And that as girls get older, they drop out at higher and higher rates than boys. So that's a concern, because if girls aren't in sport or physical activity, they don't get the opportunity to accrue those benefits I just talked about. So one of the ways that we can keep girls in sport, and this is sort of my area of passion, is we have to train coaches and parents, the adults in the sport environment, to create a positive, healthy, motivational climate that we're, teaching kids to strive to win. We love that. We like to win. That's important. So I'm not saying that's not important, but it shouldn't be the only focus. So we're giving our full effort. We're striving to do our best. We're developing all our skills at the same time, but we're also having fun and enjoying it. Sometimes we forget that, and those three things are not mutually exclusive. We can have them all, but it takes the adults in the environment to get it right, and that takes education. So that's a lot of what my passion is, as you well know, is to help the adults get it right so that the kids can enjoy sport for what it should be.
One of the things I know you talked about before is just getting more women involved in coaching and more moms involved in coaching. So what would you say for maybe the mom who's out there who is a little reluctant to get started or get involved? Because I think we need to have parents involved in today's landscape. So what would you say to that mom who's a little bit reluctant to get in?
Get off the bench, Mom. We need you. We need moms to get into coaching in any way, shape, or form. And a lot of moms, and these are even women that played collegiate athletics, are reluctant. Like, well, it's like, you played college athletics, you have a lot of knowledge and experience, and you're a mom, so you know how to deal with children. There's great transferable skills. So, and when we see women in sport and being leaders, it challenges our ideas of gender and leadership stereotypes. Girls need same identity role models, and boys need opposite identity role models. So it's both important for the girls, and it's also important for the boys to see women coaching on the sidelines. So for moms who might be listening, if you're reluctant, find a buddy, find a coaching buddy, go do it together, because our girls and young boys need you out there. And I guarantee if you do it, you'll get a lot out of it.
Just two more quick ones. Parents often, they want what's best for their kids, which is, I think, led them to become what are called helicopter parents. And for the first time in one of your classes, I heard you use the term bulldozer parents. So
Yeah.
I think parents think, they're often well-intended, but they could be doing some harm. So can you speak to the idea of a helicopter or bulldozer parent and maybe some?
Yeah, well, since we're in Minnesota, I would say let's use it's a snowplow parent, right? So what we know from the research is that, yes, parents are well-intentioned. They want what's best for their child. And that's a good thing. However, there's a line that gets crossed when parents are only looking out what's best for their child at the expense of what's good for a team, right? And they sort of get blinders on, and they only see the sport experience through the blinders of their own kids' experience. So take the blinders off, let's do what's good and right for everybody. Not putting undue pressure on children, having conversations regularly. I call it the ABC model. So ask your kids, do you like baseball? Do you like your coach? Do you want to continue to play baseball? If they're like, yeah, I love it, great. If they're like, yeah, I don't know, maybe I want to try soccer. Say, okay, you can try soccer, you finish out the baseball season, and then we can try soccer. But, the important thing for the kids is just to let them be physically active and let them pick something they enjoy. Don't force them into doing one thing and one thing only. And early sports specialization, the data is pretty clear that is not a good pathway for lots of reasons, which could be a whole nother conversation. So ask, believe your kid. That's the A and the B. So when your child tells you X or Y, believe them, and then make a change that makes sense for your child and for your family. So there are a lot of things that parents can do, but I often find parents don't sit down and actually ask their kids, what do you want to do? What worked for you? Are you liking it? You don't like it? So I like the ABC model. And then the last thing for parents is, when you're on the sidelines, be quiet. I can say that a little more forcefully with some words I shouldn't use, but I won't. So just show up, support everybody, your athlete and all the athletes when they do good things. Don't yell, don't coach from the sideline, don't yell at the ref, don't jump up and down and distract your child. Just show up and be supportive, period. The end. Hard stop, mic drop.
I love that. I love it. Last question, just as your experience as an athlete growing up and in college and obviously with all the work that you do, what is a message that you would like to leave the young women in the audience about their participation in sports and why it's important?
Wow, well, given that it's a day after the 50th anniversary of Title IX, which is a federal civil rights law that made sex discrimination in our schools illegal and afforded myself and all the young women who are listening the opportunity to play sports, don't take it for granted. It's a really special time. I mean, my lifelong friends, whether it's my high school teammates, my college teammates, these are some of the best friends I have still today, and I'm 53, and I'm far removed from my sport experiences, but these are my dearest friends because we grew up together doing something we loved, and that should never be taken for granted. Sport participation and being on a team is a privilege, so be grateful for that opportunity and never take it for granted. It goes by really fast.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Just some key points that I'll share with the girls. Girls are dropping out at a higher rate than boys. Just having conversation. It seems like at our school we have a pretty good culture around girls sport. I think a lot of that is Pat Boland's mainstay here at Cotter High School. Yeah. I'm passionate and proud of that, the attendance that we have, and the number of girls that participate in sports. That's a big deal. Obviously, we need to keep them in, like Dr. Nicole LaVoi said, we need to keep them in sports for a long time so they can reap the same benefits that boys do. It was interesting, I saw this tweet, and the one below, which says, currently standing next to a parent behind the backstop who's literally telling his daughter, the catcher, every play that she's doing wrong and needs to fix. And I highlighted that tweet, and later on I saw Dr. Nicole LaVoi make a comment about that. So we just see some of the behaviors of parents in these settings, and it's a little bit alarming sometimes to see this guy is upset that the 8U pitcher is not throwing strikes, so he is in protest laid down on the ground. So, these are some of the behaviors that we see, and it's such an important part of what we all do, you as parents, as administrators, coaches, to make sure we're creating a positive environment for the kids. And the last thing that you talked about, which I think is really important, and I know I find myself, like I coached my youngest brother, I've coached my own kids, and you have emotional attachment to them, so it can be difficult at times, but we always have to look at through the lens of what is the best thing for everybody, not just my own child, and that can be really difficult, I get it, but I think as parents we need to be understanding that if we are always going to bat for our kids and taking care of all these things, my kid is calling me, asking me where his baseball pants are. Why doesn't he know? Like, I'm packing his bag, that's why he doesn't know. And so I can be better about that, but we have to allow opportunity and room for our kids to learn these life lessons through sports, and that's only done if we allow them the space to do that. So if we go ahead and clear the path for them, we're really, we're not allowing them to experience the positive benefits that sports can offer. All right.